How about the showing for the Big 12 Conference in the first round of the NFL Draft? Unbelievable. I'm Pete Mundo, HeartlandCollegeSports.com. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for being here. Share the video. So the Big 12 performed beyond most people's expectations in the first round of the NFL Draft. So just how good was it, right? Before you think, I'm just a Big 12 homer and I'm going to give you the Big 12 spin, that may be true to some degree, but it's backed up by numbers. Everything we do is backed up by numbers. And the Big 12 led all college football conferences with 60% of its teams producing a first-round draft pick. You heard that right. 60% of the Big 12 teams, 6 teams, 10 teams in the conference, produced a first-round draft pick. Nobody else in Power 5 football can say that. Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma, TCU, and Texas Tech each had a player's name called in the opening round. There is not another college football conference in America that can say 60% of their teams produce first-round draft picks. It's just, I get it. Other conferences had more players picked in the first round, but for the Big 12, this proves the depth that this league had all season long in 2022. And it proved as well that this league is not just about offense, right? Look at the 6 guys taken. Half offense, half defense. This is a different Big 12. This is not your corny uncle's Big 12. That's not what this conference is anymore. And the Big 12 proved that on Thursday night in the NFL Draft. So if you go player by player here and you look at this, Texas Tech, Tyree Wilson, he goes to the Raiders. Bijan Robinson out of Texas goes to the Falcons. Will McDonald, Iowa State, outside linebacker, goes to the Jets. You got TCU's Quentin Johnson to the Chargers. Oklahoma's Anton Harrison to the Jaguars. And then K-State's Felix Anudike-Uzomah, he ends up landing with the Chiefs. So I'll go player by player on the fits, but this Big 12 did something that no one else, the SEC didn't do, the ACC, the Big 10, the Pac-12 certainly did not do on Thursday night in the NFL Draft. That's how good of a night this was for the Big 12 Conference. And kudos to the conference itself for bragging about this. The Big 12 Conference bragged about this on its website. They promoted this. We were always going to promote it. That's what we do. But in past years, we would promote things for the Big 12 more than the Big 12 would. Now they're promoting it as well. They're pushing it too. And that's exactly how this is supposed to work, and that's how this is supposed to be. So this was a great night for the league. It demolished the offense-only narrative. You had offensive linemen. Yes, you had running backs, wide receivers. You also had 3 pass rushers off the board out of this conference. And that is something that the Big 12 should be crowing about because this conference is changing. It's changing for the better, and it's happening in front of our eyes. And anybody telling you, or anytime you see one of these dopey national analysts tell you that the Big 12 doesn't play defense, first off, they don't know what they're talking about. Number 2, they obviously don't watch the games. They don't. I don't care what they tell you. You can't watch the games and say that this league doesn't play defense with guys like Will McDonald, Tyree Wilson, and Felix Anudike-Uzomah on the field. You can't convince me of that. You can't tell me that. All right, so this was a very good night for this league. Indisputable, a very good night for this league. And now you look at it and you say to yourself, okay, what about the players? What about these fits? Well, Tyree Wilson is a good fit for the Raiders just because they desperately need help. They needed help on the back end, but, you help the front end, you help the back end, right? They got to get to quarterbacks. They got to get to Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. Tyree Wilson helps them do that. Now, as a Chiefs guy, I don't want to see Tyree Wilson sacking Patrick Mahomes, but to the Raiders' credit, they took a position of need, and they took a very quality player. Then Bijan Robinson goes. Bijan ends up going to the Atlanta Falcons. Back-to-back Big 12 picks, 7 and 8. And a lot of people are like, whoa, running back, top 10 pick. You don't watch Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is the kind of guy who is not just a running back. He's not just a run-off left tackle kind of guy. Bijan Robinson is the kind of player who the guy catches the ball out of the backfield. He's an incredible weapon for any team that adds him. And Atlanta needed some help in that skill position area. Why? Well, they got a young quarterback in Desmond Ridder. They think he's the guy. He needs weapons around him, and Bijan Robinson can be that dude. And Bijan Robinson is just so easy to root for. You sit there and you watch him, and you see him in the green room, all smiles, a man of faith. I mean, I don't care who you are. I know that, most of the audience here is not going to be a Texas fan, but being a Bijan Robinson fan is not hard. The dude is so easy to root for and so likable. And he goes number 8 to the Atlanta Falcons. And don't view it as, well, I can't believe a running back went that high. He's not simply a running back. Now, Will McDonald, some people thought maybe a reach at 15 of the Jets. But anybody you talked to, anything you read, said Will McDonald is a guy that a lot of teams loved. A lot of teams wanted to get their hands on Will McDonald, who is tied for the Big 12 career sacks record with 34. And by the way, Will McDonald becomes just the second first-round pick in Iowa State history, joining George Amundsen. I hope I got that pronunciation right. Taken by the Oilers, 14th overall back in 1973. That's how far you got to go back. TCU's Quentin Johnston goes 21st to the Chargers, and that's a great pick for the Chargers. I mean, you add him with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I mean, that is a three-headed monster at that position that should scare, yes, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, that's as a Chiefs fan, I saw that pick, and I was like, oh, man, that's going to sting. We're going to feel that one for years to come. I'm telling you right now, we are going to feel that one. With Quentin Johnston making some noise, getting the ball thrown to him by Justin Herbert. Jeez, great landing spot for him, and happy for him as well. And TCU has sneakily been a very good team in the NFL draft. TCU has had 3 wide receivers picked in the NFL draft in the first round of the last 8 years. For a defense-first program, that's pretty darn good until Sonny Dykes got there. Defense-first program under Gary Patterson. Oklahoma's offensive tackle, Anton Harrison, program's 48th first-round pick, and he marks OU's 5th first-round pick over the past 6 seasons, but first offensive lineman taken in the first round since Lane Johnson went 4th to the Eagles back in 2013. It's a long time ago. Long time ago. So that's a fit. Jacksonville needed help on the O-line, and Anton Harrison does that for them. And last but not least, the best story of any first-round pick is Kansas City native, technically Lee Summit native, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Kansas City kid, ends up going to K-State, was going to go to Mizzou. They didn't want him to play football at Mizzou, I guess. Then he got an offer from North Dakota State. Then K-State came in late. He goes to K-State. He plays football, and now he's heading 2 hours back east to start his NFL career with the Super Bowl champs. He goes Kansas City, Manhattan, back to Kansas City. You can't write that script. The Kansas City kid gets taken at the end of the first round on Thursday night in the NFL draft by Clark Hunt and the Chiefs in Kansas City where the draft was being held. That is amazing stuff. You cannot write that kind of a script. So the Big 12 had itself a very, very good night, and it is the most the conference has had in the opening round as a 10-member league, topping 5 in 2012 and 2020. So the Big 12 had itself a very good night, and people aren't going to brag about this like they should, but this is something that we should all be talking about as Big 12 fans. And not only 6 first-round picks, but of course as a percentage, the most of any conference in the country when it comes to percentage of teams with first-round draft picks, because it was 6 different teams. That's 60% of this league. And then 3 offense, and yes, 3 defense. Don't let anybody tell you this conference ain't playing defense, because it is. And those who watch it understand that, and know that. I'm Pete Mundo, HeartlandCollegeSports.com. Subscribe on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Share it on Facebook, and know that we have got a lot more content coming your way. We'll recap the NFL draft on Sunday from a Big 12 perspective, so be sure to tune in for that. Subscribe to the show, and we have gotten so much more publicity on this show from you. You have made this happen with your subscriptions, your shares, everything. Thank you for that, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.